So it's week 17 in the Barclays Premier League, and the opening fixture was at Anfield. It's the early Saturday kickoff, and they were at home against Watford. Reminder of Liverpool's record, currently 15 wins and a draw. The only blemish was that draw at Old Trafford. Very proud of that. They're 8 points ahead at the top. So what could Watford make of this? Bottom of the table, and now on their third coach this season, Nigel Pearson being appointed, and it was his first game in charge. What a awakening for him. Team news: Robertson was rested on the bench. Shaqiri got a start, a rare one. Milner was at left back. Otherwise they were at full strength. And so to the action, and 6 minutes. An early half chance for Watford, but Deeney could get a touch to a promising cross. 15 minutes was all Liverpool possession, but Watford defending in numbers. On 24 minutes, Salah jinxed in from the right, but his effort was well wide. 6 minutes later, still no save from Foster, and on 35, Decore had an opportunity on the penalty spot. It was a gilt-edged chance from a nice cross from the right, but he fluffed his lines. And then on 37 minutes, a counter-attack from Liverpool, and Mane managed to set things up for Salah, who cut inside, and his right peg was exquisite as it hit the corner. So 1-0 to the Reds. Just before half-time, Watford had a real great opportunity for Salah in front of goal, but he virtually made an air shot of it, and it was quite an embarrassment. So Alisson didn't need to make a save. That was the half-time situation, 1-0 to Liverpool. So into the second half then, with a slender lead then, Liverpool 1-0. 49 minutes, Mane connected to a gorgeous cross from Shaqiri, and his glancing header went in the left hand corner of the goal. It looked like 2-0, but VAR somehow found an offside. I couldn't see it, by the way. 53 minutes, Alisson made a fine save from Deulofeu, and on 63 minutes, a couple of efforts for Liverpool, but legs got in the way, and also Salah and Firmino were guilty of rather heavy touches in the belts. 73 minutes then, Firmino on the end of a Robertson cross who'd come on at the break, but another poor effort, and relatively easy for Foster. And then there was a comical back pass from Van Dijk that caught Alisson unawares, but fortunately it went just wide. 80 minutes. Over the top ball from Watford, who was still in this game, and Deulofeu, he hit the corner post. From the corner he hit the post. 82 minutes, another opportunity, this time for Zaha from the far left, but his volley went wide. And then finally, as we approached full time, Salah managed to double the lead. It was a cheeky sort of back heel, really, following Mane getting to the byline, and he's got his cross in to Origi, who had come on as sub, but he completely miskicked it to Salah, but the impotent Egyptian flicked it in, and that was 2-0, game over. Klopp, well, he was very, very much into praising the Egyptian. Pearson quite pragmatic really in defeat. So final score at Anfield, Liverpool 2, Watford 0. Burnley at home to Newcastle then. For Burnley, Ashley Barnes was back, as was Bardsley. Newcastle, few injuries. Shelby and Almiron were absent for the Magpies, and Andy Carroll up front again for them, alongside Joe Linton. So let's get to the action. Well, there wasn't a lot of it in the first half. There was an early effort that went wide of the target. That was for Carroll, and a shot from distance by McNeil, but Dubravka managed to handle it pretty easily. And that was it for the first half, goalless then. 58 minutes then, Burnley got a corner. It was a disputed corner, and it was a source of irritation to Bruce at the final whistle. However, it came across, and Wood wanted it more than anyone and sort of bullied his way towards it. Dubravka was blocked out, and Wood headed in to put Burnley in front. After that, Gale had come on as substitute, but on 81 minutes he was put through following a good cross from Joe Linton, but from a few yards he managed to miss the target. That was about it. Burnley stumbled over the line, winning by the single goal. There was a very unsatisfactory challenge midway through the second half when Carroll, challenging me for the ball, managed to connect his elbow in me's face. He got a yellow, but many felt it deserved a red. It was a really strong challenge. However, poor game really. Final score: Burnley 1, Newcastle 0. So to Stamford Bridge then, Chelsea at home to Bournemouth. Rudiger, the German international, was back. He hadn't been seen since September with an injury. For Bournemouth, Josh King returned, although they were still hit with lots of injuries. No Callum Wilson, no Harry Wilson. Anyway, they got off to a bright start, an early save from Fraser, a Fraser shot by Kepa. Ramsdale was also busy at the other end. He saved from a mount effort after a great chip pass by Jorginho. He'd also come back from suspension. But that was about it at the break. Chelsea just edging it, but goalless. Into the second half, and a bit of pressure from Chelsea, and the Cherries had to deal with some ping pong in the box, and then blocked a few shots, but managed to survive. And then there was a gilt-edged chance for Bournemouth when King wriggled into the box, and his cross was met by Gosling, who also returning after a long break, but he made a right hash of it. Up the other end on 72 minutes, Ramsdale made a brilliant save from a header from a few yards out. Then Rudiger managed to thwart Solanke and cleared, but the ball was headed back in, and Gosling anticipated it, received the ball all alone on the 6-yard line, and did an overhead kick and hooked it into the net. It looked a clear offside, but when VAR had a look at it, it was clear that he'd got his run just right and was onside, so the goal stood 1-0 to the Cherries. After that, Chelsea went in the hunt for an equaliser, but they were pretty toothless, to be honest. In added time, Kovacic's strike was pushed clear by Ramsdale, and another last chance effort from Hudson-Odoi from a cross, but it was all in vain. Just worth a point, Lerner very good for Bournemouth in midfield, but the final whistle then, and the Cherries, Bournemouth, had won this game by 1-0. Lampard not at all pleased in the interview. To the King Power Stadium then, Leicester, rampant at the moment in second, entertained second to bottom Norwich. Leicester were unchanged. We've heard that a few times this season. Cantwell was back for Norwich, and they were in the game right from the offing, although there was an early snapshot from Iniacho, but up the other end Tete hit a volley which was blocked for a corner. That was on 10 minutes. And then another great strike from distance for the Foxes was grabbed by Krul. Pookie was looking dangerous, and he managed to stretch to an Aaron's cross, but he just failed to convert. On 26 minutes, though, on the counter-attack, Norwich, a great ball by Gwendia put Pookie through, and he managed to create a lot of space, and his right foot shot went in the corner, beating Schmeichel easily. Norwich won up then. Shortly after, there was a fracas involving both sets of players. This was after the ball went out following an injury for Norwich, but Leicester failed to return the ball, and then there was a foul, and it all hell let loose, but nothing come of it. A Maddison corner then, a bit later on, managed to find Vardy on the near post. His ball looked like it was going goalwards, but Kroll got a hand to it, but only managed to help it into the net. So that was 1-1, and that was the score at the break. Second half, Vardy. Well, we can count four chances that he created out of nothing, really. One just wide, a couple of he was fouled by Krul, and another one squeaked effort by him, again pushed behind by Krul. Towards the end, Pookie, looking dangerous, had an effort which was blocked by Soyutsu. That was on 87 minutes. But in the end, even though the Foxes were slightly on top, they ran out of time. And the full-time score was Leicester 1, Norwich 1. Rodgers was pragmatic, but said in the first half his time weren't really at the races. So anyway, Leicester dropped points to Liverpool. They're now 10 behind. But again, final score, Leicester 1, Norwich 1. So the two promoted sides met at Bramall Lane, Sheffield United versus Aston Villa. Sheffield United are in a good position, but they have lost 4 at home. Villa just above the bottom 3. Things were really getting quite desperate for them. The Blades were unchanged, but Villa forced change. Mings out with that hamstring, Hawes in for him. Early pressure by United, and in fact in the first half Sheffield were really in charge, but they failed to make really clear-cut gilt-edged chances, so at the break it was scoreless. A couple of minutes into the second half, and a Norwood cross, a dangerous one, found McGoldrick, but his chance was spurned. But then on 50 minutes, a great team goal by Sheffield United. Basham was involved. He had his audacious backheel found Lundstrom, whose cross was met by Fleck, and a lovely strike. It hit the corner, 1-0. After that, Villa came to life. Up till then, they really had been toothless, and Grealish had an effort just wide. But 73 minutes, the Blades doubled their lead, and it was Fleck again. He got a nice assist from McGoldrick, and he placed his effort well wide of Heaton, and it was 2-0. A little later, there was a penalty appeal by Villa, and the ball hit an arm. VAR agreed, and a penalty was given. Grealish stepped up, and he hit it really hard, but it hit the bar and skated away to safety. After that, the Blades really coasted to the finish line. Another win for Wiley. So full-time score at Bramall Lane with Sheffield United 2, Aston Villa 0. So to the south coast, it's St Mary's, Southampton versus West Ham. Both struggling, and Pellegrini's job was considered to be on the line. However, Ings for Southampton, he was on form, 5 goals in the last 5 games. So Hasenhüttl, unchanged side. West Ham had Haller back, their big money signing. He hasn't scored in 8, but Felipe Anderson was not available. He was sick. Within a few minutes of the start, West Ham had scored through Declan Rice, but there was an offside flag before his final effort. Then a Cresswell shot found Haller, and he was checked by Bertram, VAR had a look at it, but no pen. But finally, on 37 minutes, the Haller did make his mark. A nice left foot shot, completing a neat build-up. The ball came in from the far stick, and Frenels headed it back to Haller. Good goal, 1-0 Hammers. That was the state of play at the half. Into the second, and McCarthy had to be swift to push over a Fennels effort early on. Antonio, who was by far the best player on the pitch, then cottoned onto a through ball, forced his way through the defence and hit a bullet-like shot into the corner. But VAR had a look, and it had hit his hand, which they'd decided had helped control it, so the goal was ruled out. Still 1-0 to the Hammers then. Southampton went looking for the equaliser, and Ings had a shot which hits the crossbar, but his follow-up was pushed wide. And then there was another opportunity, and Saints scored, but there had been again an infringement before the striker hit the ball home. So Saints unlucky, remained 1-0. Holberg had a shot just wide after another neat Saints move. It looked like they might well force a draw, but anyway, we got to the stoppage time, and then there was a frantic clearance by the Hammers defence as they hung on and won by a solitary goal. Okay, so final score then at St Mary's: Southampton 0, West Ham 1.